So this is how we make coffee in my hometown, in Banda Aceh in Indonesia. It's on the map, it's here, on the tip of Sumatra. To be precise, where the tsunami 2004 happened. That was a moment in my life that I will never forget, at the same time in a good way, but also in a really bad way. I still remember that day when I was there, and it's devastated. But it's also an event that makes me realize that materialistic, at the end of the day, is nothing compared to togetherness and when you come together with other people. That day, after the tsunami, a couple of days, people don't really care about the material. People come together and help each other. You go back to your old nature. Try to grab and find the scrap of food that you could find from the shop that was destroyed by the tsunami, and then help each other to cover and remove the bodies from the street. Everyone comes together. You don't really feel like you lost. Even, of course, you lost your family, but because everyone else around you, you're strong. So now it's 10 years after the tsunami. The NGOs left. But there's one moment that I need to tell you that actually an epiphany in my life, when I think it was about a week after the tsunami, me and my family, we went to a military airport because that's where you could find food or you could find clean water. So we went there to try to find drinking water. And at that moment, that's when I realized, and that's what makes me change the whole point of view in my life. I saw a whole lot of tents and people with different uniform, different look, different skin color. They didn't look like me, they didn't look like us. They speak different language. But these people, they came to my hometown. They don't know us. But that makes me realize the humanity. I mean, people come together even though they don't know each other. Sometimes we put little credit to ourselves that we think we are selfish or individual, but it's actually not. We really care about each other. We help each other, and we are together. So now it's 10 years on. Where is generation of Aceh will go? Believe me or not, one of the key answers is the coffee shops. Why the coffee shops? Okay, let's go back to the coffee shop story. That's the typical coffee shops in Banda Aceh. It's very male-dominated, isn't it? Not so inviting for women. And even back in the day, if women go to the coffee shop, not so good. Just like the idea of bar in the Western culture back in the day, you don't really go there. So coffee shops or coffee culture has always been the culture of Acehnese people since the 19th century. It's brought by the Ottoman Empire when it has the relationship with the Sultanate of Aceh back in the day. And then I remember in the 70s, people also play hikayat. Hikayat is a poetry that is sung that told the story of the history or any history that teaching you, so they sung it and people went there to listen to that. It's always the place for people to actually share ideas. The men, after the prayer in the morning, they went to the coffee shops for a quick chit-chat with their friend to find out, oh, what's new in the neighborhood. Maybe they even find a job through a coffee shop. It's an information portal. It's a place where people share information. But that's happened throughout the time. But then Indonesia, in general, since the 60s or 70s, we had a lot of political problems. So there's a lot of separatism movement everywhere in the eastern part of Indonesia, in the western part of Indonesia, especially in Aceh. So that was when the Acehnese want to be independent or separate from Indonesia. It was become completely a really tight political situation. The Indonesian government sent army to Indonesia. We've got curfew. We've got people didn't go out at night, especially if you're a male. That's when the coffee shop's situation completely shifts. Because if you were there sitting at the coffee shop, you better be careful what you're talking about. If you get suspicious that you are maybe on the side of this separatism, we can't find you next day in the morning. Vice versa, it's also similar. They call it an unidentified people who actually kidnap you. So it's a very dangerous situation. And I remember I was I think about 14 at the time, and there's bodies 300 meters from the house, and cars get bombed, so it's a very risky situation. That was a really big wave of political situation in Aceh that was quite long. Then another big wave happened, Tsunami, 2004. But that wave is actually wipe away or this political horror in Banda Aceh, that actually the wave that awakened the function of the coffee shops again. Why I said that? When I was just after the tsunami, I worked for media. We went to a lot of refugee camps to interview people and to cover the story. So you see this little function of coffee shops start to appear at the refugee camp. So there's people start to sell coffee and people flock around. They're looking for information of the victims. Look at the list, who got found today, when is the next distribution for the aid. So the head of the refugee camp will come to the coffee area, so because it's no structural, like physical structural space yet. So that's when the function of the coffee shops change again. And even that's also become the time where the coffee culture of Indonesia or Aceh and the Western coffee culture mix, because there's a lot of international worker came to Aceh. In Western culture or coffee culture, it's normal for women or for you to work at the coffee shop, so they bring that. They brought that cultures to Aceh. So then it's changed the demographic of people who sit at the coffee shops. So women sit at the coffee shops, it's okay, it's not bad anymore. People even perceive they are as like, oh, she must be an educated woman. She speaks English and she works for the NGOs probably. So, and then the coffee shops appear more and more to answer these needs of the international workers, and also they start to provide internet because they need it at the time. And then more and more coffee shops appear like booming to the point where Banda Aceh called as a city with 1,000 coffee shops in Indonesia. So with the booming of the coffee shops and the Wi-Fi and the youth just hanging out at the coffee shops most of the time, because after the tsunami, we don't have any other means of entertainment. We don't have cinema, believe it or not. Even now, we don't have any cinema in Banda Aceh. We don't have shopping mall. We have 2 supermarkets maybe, but they cannot call it shopping mall. Well, not really supermarket, but you get the idea. And then, so the typology of coffee shop or the look of the coffee shop also start to change, not too rough anymore like back in the day. It's more look like cafe, so it's comfortable for women to sit there and everyone on the laptop as well, surfing through the internet. But take a look closer. That's what they're doing. They play online pokers or games the whole days on Facebook, the whole days. Why is that? Because there's no other place to go. There's no other platform. There's a lot of people talk ideas still, but then they're separated. There's not so much a place for youth to actually come together and then share ideas. And so this is all what they're doing. And now when the parents come, parents know that their kids gonna go hang out at the coffee shop, they will say like, no, don't go to the coffee shop. You just waste your time. Why? I mean, go home and study. But, you know, changing people's behavior is not easy. What would happen if the whole generation, my friends, my brothers, they're doing this all the time? What would be generation of Banda Aceh will be? So, because we can't just easily say to them, go home and study, what can we do? We use the audience that already there, they're already there, and inject a new function of the coffee shops. What if we do a design, like a think tank at the coffee shops? Like, come there and ask them to think, engage with them. So that's where the idea of Kupi Culture came from. So Kupi means coffee in Aceh, and Kupi Culture, so what we're trying to do is to bring back that culture of coffee shop as a sharing information space, or the space where you share ideas, and enhance that and bring that back to the community to get this youth engaged within themselves and what can they do for the future and the better city. So Joanne Taylor, my business partner that I met in architecture, we both interested in community engagement. I told her about Aceh and she's interested, and then she went there by herself, and then after that she's back, and then Vida, let's do this further. And it was like the right collaboration, I think, you know, push the ideas further. So we went in February 2013. We went to Banda Aceh. We're going to try this think tank coffee. We spoke with the coffee shop's owner. Hey, can we borrow half an hour of your space? We would like to try this and see how it goes. So we went there. We brought markers, butcher paper, just post-it notes, and we asked the question for the youth there. Hey, can you try to think of a character? What is an Acehnese youth like? What do you want to have in your city? What you don't like about Banda Aceh? How do you see yourself in the future? How do you see Banda Aceh in the future? Then we asked them to also, can you think of something that you'd like to have here? So they do their brainstorming, they work together, and this is what they're doing. So they create jingle to promote the idea of they came up with, and mostly a space for creative. Most of this group, they want to have a creative space for them to be able to express themselves. So then what we think of the Kupi culture is basically coffee shop as a place where where you have all these ideas and people with different community together, but they're all separated. You take all these ideas, but then ideas itself is not enough. You need to execute them, to turn them into reality, to make them into something, product, service, whatever that is. So what we have in mind, we take these ideas, put them into one space that you could work together with your peers, maybe give some mentorship, or give them knowledge and training, and then execute those ideas into products, and then take them back into the coffee shops, tell again to the audience, and try to validate them. Is it right or wrong? What can we improve? And then bring them back. So by creating this, hopefully we create a loop of conversation of try to turn ideas into product or into reality. Then we think we also need to connect the Banda Aceh youth with the rest of the world, because that's what also comes up in our interview with the youth. So then we took Australian students. We worked with University of Technology Sydney and one of the organization from the exchange organization at the University of Sydney. We took 6 undergraduate students and 3 master students from entrepreneurship lab at UTS, and mentors as well. So we went there. We worked with the local student in Shah Kuala University in Banda Aceh, and also some architect from Japan that went with us as well. So we did another ideation workshop in October. We divided group into 5 groups. Each group consists of Acehnese student and Australian student. We would like to explore 5 opportunities based on the Banda Aceh asset that we, when we interview people before, that's what we think we have potential to explore. So we did that. The student, they went to the coffee shop with their group, their new friends, they interview people, and then we borrow a place from the government. It was an ex-theater that we tried to prototype our creative space. So the youth sit there, they try to execute their ideas, and then we've got some mentor from UTS that help them, and then they present that to their peers. We invited people from the government, from the tourism department. We invited people from education, and they did the role play. Everyone had a lot of fun, and after that, they all came to us. Oh, when can we do this again? We need this space. There's so many creative people out there, but we don't know where they are. So let's do this again. So everyone excited, and then that's why we think by doing those 2 pilot, we try to test what we think might work before. So coffee shops and in Aceh, like Kupi Culture project, is only an example. This model could be applied anywhere else around the world. We all have youth, we all have problems in different contexts, we all have space that youth hang out and sit, and we could take that and we could execute that. We could create a platform for everyone to be together. And for us, what is the most important thing is actually for the youth of Banda Aceh to connect to the rest of the world, because what they said to us that really important We are tired of people around the world think of Banda Aceh as a place where the tsunami and the conflict. We have so much to offer. We have other things, but we want them to know us, for our quality, not only for the big event Tsunami. Even though that's the blessing in disguise, if you ask everyone in Aceh, people thankful for the big event because that's what brings peace for Aceh. Thank you.